We made it to New Mexico for Meow Wolf Night tomorrow night. We review a brand new, interesting soccer badge and branding, and we check in on soccer under construction, all that and more on a live, in-person edition of Morning Kickaround. Hello and welcome to the show, The Sound of Franz. What, Peckinpah means
you're the one that
only
says it
one
every
thing.
day, Rob. You say it every day. You already forgot? Travel has gotten to your brain. That's what's
Yes,
happening.
riding in on 4 hours of sleep. My name's Robert Kerr. He's Jason Davis. This show, you found it. It's Morning Kickaround. We come to you live each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at a little bit of a different time because we are, in fact, in Mountain Time.
Yes. Mountain time is different than Eastern time. I learned that on this. No, just kidding. Of course we knew that. And yeah, thank you for like letting us get some extra sleep, especially Rob. Rob came in super late last night. He hasn't adjusted yet, but we're here, we're ready, we're live.
Yeah, getting to grips with my time traveler status. But we've got our special edition show on Saturday night. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but we have a great show lined up here midday and Friday. We are going to talk about new badges, new stadiums, and the return of club soccer from the international break. So before we get to that, if you're tuned in, haven't hit subscribe yet, hit that subscribe button. Then you can also step it up a notch. You can hit the button that says thanks. You can get a super thanks, and those will get on the screen.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Help us out. Help defray the travel. Well, that's not exactly what's going on here, but yes, yeah, help out the show, support us. We could do more of this in the future if you guys support Morning Kickaround.
Yeah, looking forward to some Midwest trips here if we do more of this.
Oh, okay. You don't want to be traveling too far from home after this? Okay.
Time travel takes a toll, you know. But yeah, we got a great show ahead of us. So why don't we just get to it, huh? So we got subscribers, super thanks, MK Ultras. That's a monthly $3.99 a month. You get in on the Morning Kickaround Discord server, which we're definitely very active during our travels here.
Yeah, you're getting if you're a member, if you're an MK Ultra, you're getting like a little bit of a travel log. In fact, you already know some of the stuff we're about to talk about because we've been posting as we've been making our way out west.
Yeah, so definitely an incentive to become an MK Ultra. $3.99 a month. Become an Ultra, and you'll get priority commenting on screen. Discord server. Priority access to videos, and you guys got some private videos too in addition to
that's what I mean.
Discord
That's the members got some videos that weren't widely published, and probably for a good, probably good for the better that they weren't widely published because, well, I'm about to explain my screw up on my travel, so you'll get the full story.
All right, if you don't want to click any buttons or splash any cash, just tell your family and friends to watch Morning Kickaround. And with all that said, let's get into it. Let's get into our brand new updated version of Long Balls here on Friday. Here we go. Long Balls here on Friday, September 12th. My name is Robert Kerr, sitting next to the one and only Jason Davis, live in the flesh. We are in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, ahead of the biggest game of the season here.
Biggest game of the season for a couple of reasons. Like, we're here because it's Meow Wolf Night tomorrow, and we get to see the pageantry, the excitement, the creativity on display in a very artsy place, New Mexico and Albuquerque. But also, New Mexico United is making a charge up the table in the Western Conference, and Tulsa's in first place. So we got a first versus third matchup at Estos Park tomorrow. So I'm super excited for that. But yeah, it was the getting out here that was the problem. I think the game is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. And my local team, DCFC, on the battering end of a midweek win for New Mexico United.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that New Mexico United had gone like 7 or 8 games winless and then won back-to-back games coming into this weekend's Meow Wolf Night. So sorry to the DCFC fans that maybe traveled or stayed up very late to get pummeled 4-0.
We got a midfield goal. I mean, and not one of those like loopers, not like there wasn't much arc on that shot. It was a well-driven midfield strike there for New Mexico United.
I told my taxi driver about it last night, and he's going to look up his first round of New Mexico United highlights.
You're
because of our
converting
conversation.
people in Albuquerque to be Mexico United fans. That's I think that means extra cash for us. I think.
Yeah, we're spreading the wealth. I told people back home that I'm off to grow the game. So
There you
we're
go.
here in New
That's
Mexico,
what we're
telling
doing.
one taxi driver at a time. It was cool to see. We saw some New Mexico United signage in the airport, in the hotel lobby here.
Yeah.
I definitely have a presence here in the 7 hours I've been here.
Yeah.
3 hours.
Have yet to see a jersey, but again, I haven't really been out during the daytime, so I don't know what that looks like yet.
Yeah, we can't be too harsh on the DoubleTree Hotel lobby.
No, not
people.
the most poppin' place in Albuquerque.
Yeah, it's funny that it's a very I don't know, atmospheric, a very pleasant lobby and building here. We couldn't do it, and so we're here at the most generic back rooms of office. Very grateful to the staff for providing this room for us.
We're on the air. That's all that matters. The people are watching us. And again, tomorrow, the visuals will be just a little bit better. No, they're going to be like exponentially better because we'll be live from Isotopes Park. We'll have all the people, the costumes, the banners, the flags, the smoke, the excitement, the food. You won't be able to taste it, but we'll tell you about it.
Yeah, definitely. We're working towards a college game day for lower league soccer, sort of an approach, kind of a pilot for a new endeavor we're doing as Morning Kickaround. We haven't been shoulder to shoulder like this before. Oh, he didn't like that. I'm learning.
That's okay. I might have some personal space issues, Rob. You will figure it out. I will tell this for people who maybe don't appreciate this. Rob Kerr, tall drink of water is Rob Kerr. Big lanky guy. He's got some small forward vibes about him.
Yeah, if you couldn't, you probably can't tell, but my chair is much lower here at this table than.
Yeah, he's helping me out, not look too short. I'm not I don't think of myself as a short guy, but next to Rob Kerr, I look short.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hey, I'm a lanky guy, like you said, but can't wait for tomorrow. Definitely gonna have a lot more color and vibrancy in our camera shot, but can't wait for tomorrow. But the way here, you had some travails, didn't you?
Yeah. Look, I don't know. Maybe I excuse it by saying I'm a left-brained kind of individual. I'm a creative type, Rob. I'm a writer. I make stuff, and I went to Reagan National Airport yesterday to get on my first flight on my way to New Mexico, on my way to Albuquerque, and had myself a pre-trip beer, as one does. Sat down at the little bar, and if you know airport bars, you know that it's like. Rob is bumping me. This is how you are all the time in an airport bar. You're like, oh, yeah. So I drink my beer. I pay for my beer. I get up. I go buy a water for the flight, get on the flight, get to Dallas. Like, I got a little bit of time to get some food. Sit down at a restaurant there. Papado, I don't know. Somebody in Dallas will know what I'm talking about. Seafood joint. Order my food. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to get to my plane. Can you make that to go? Can I pay my check? Where's my credit card?
Oh, no.
Panicked. I panicked. I had a heart attack right there in Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Had something else to pay with. Luckily, I don't know what would have happened. They put me in airport jail?
Airport jail or washing some beer glasses?
Washing beer glasses. Missed my flight to Albuquerque. Missed this trip. Missed this show. Missed Wolf Night. Disaster. Could have been a disaster. Was able to pay for my food. Had backup payment. Realized I had left my credit card in Washington because some individual, and shout out to you, buddy, decided to rack up a bunch of charges on my card. Now, luckily, credit card companies are usually pretty good about that. Mine is not going to be a big deal in terms of the fraud. They're gonna hook me up. I've already ordered a new card. I froze the card the second I realized it was missing. But yeah, that was the start to my trip. Let's hope it gets better from here.
I'd say I agree with that. I just had some delays in Chicago on the tarmac in O'Hare.
Sitting there for hours on the tarmac. Well, an hour? How long was it?
Well, it was like an extra hour in the terminal and an hour in the plane waiting to go. That's a real teaser where you're all strapped in, buckled in. You think you're ready to go on the last journey.
Yeah.
Just sit.
Oh, well, you made it here. Very late, and you're still running on fumes, but you're here. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we got a show too. But tomorrow night, can't wait for it. We actually have a party to go to tonight.
That's right. We're going to the Meow Wolf jersey release party tonight as well. That'll be a vibe. That'll be fun. Oh, and Rob has what? Look at this. We've got to fix the camera. I didn't realize that was going to be an issue because Rob has words on his shirt. So I think we're going to have to figure out how to flip that. It does say Morning Kickaround on your shirt.
Big shout out to George Donnelly, friend, viewer. Thank you so much for knocking these up last minute. So we have something to represent while we're on the road.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And I've got a couple things Rob brought me that have the show's name and logo on it. So very cool stuff there. I guess we'll get the camera sorted. Didn't realize we were mirrored or reversed here. So you're seeing it backwards, but I promise you it does say morning kick around the right way, Rob. Okay, what else we got today?
All right, should we move on to long ball number 2? So the September international window came to a close. So we are done with the thrill of United States men's national teams and other international teams.
So they're telling me that they see it the correct way, Rob. So this is just a me issue, not a you issue. Your shirt reads properly. So thank you to everybody for letting us know that. Go ahead.
Man, you're getting old if you starting seeing mirrored vision.
Are you not seeing that? Is this just me?
I can see it completely perfect.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for going with them and gaslighting me. I appreciate that.
All right. So international break is over. Thank you so much. But we're into club soccer returning. So that means Americans abroad back on the field. So do we have any interesting matchups heading into the weekend?
Well, I mean, look, what do we want to see out of our U.S. internationals, Rob? We want to see them playing first and foremost.
We want to see them happy and healthy, first of all, hitting the ground, not returning from international break with some sort of a knock or a muscle injury. And in those who didn't make the squad, prove Pochettino wrong and go on an absolute tear.
So I would say that there are a couple of players that are maybe most interesting. I will say that Josh Sargent was named Norwich's player of the month or championship.
He was
not Norwich,
the
championships player of the month. That's how good he's been in the championship at Norwich City. But obviously it has not translated. Meanwhile, Fowler Balogun had himself a nice window, scored a goal in the game against Japan. Want to see that continue, right? Like the confidence he builds from the national team. Let it spill over into Liga. Let it spill over into a match for Monaco where he gets a goal. Let's get something going with that. Because again, what we want to see is guys that continue to build through the season. So when we get to May of next year, as we're on the eve of the World Cup, we can say, okay, this guy's coming in very hot, looking good, healthy, all those things. So you've got a couple of interesting matchups. Okay, I think across Europe, we've got Fulham and Leeds United playing this weekend in the championship.
An American derby.
In the Premier League.
An American derby.
American derby. Obviously, Brendan Aronson is on the lead side, but was not in this group for Mauricio Pochettino, and it definitely feels like he is out of the picture for the moment. And in fact, when I did my very provisional 23-man roster, and I know it might be 26. It might be 26 for the World Cup, but I did a provisional 23-man roster with my friend Jared Dubois on the Best Soccer Show. Neither of us had Brendan Aronson.
No. Sadly, he kind of had his peak a little bit ago. Same with his brother. It kind of seemed a couple years ago that they were on the ascent, maybe leveled off a little bit. I think that might have to do with club. I think a lot is asked of players being a Leeds United player and kind of being a hustly, bustly sort of player. I don't know if that lends itself well because they're always going to be stretched. I feel like they try to play a level of soccer that they might not be able to hit most of the time. So I think it's asking a lot of him to fill that role.
I think Brendan Aronson has some utility as a player. And for the U.S. men's national team, you could say he would maybe fit that late game sub, pressing, energetic role. But you do have the spot. Now, if the roster is 26, as it was in Qatar 2022, there's a very good chance that he makes the team because then you have room for him. Right? You have an opportunity to get him on the field at times when you might need him in the games. And look, again, you have a little bit of an advantage there with that. But I don't know if he is a guy who would be – he's not in anybody's starting lineup. Again, on the other side is Jedi Robinson, who was not with the group in the window because of coming back from the surgery he had this summer. He has played in the Premier League, obviously. We want to see him continue to build that that form and obviously get his levels up in terms of his physicality and things like that. So that when we get to October, because what is October window going to do? It's going to show us very much what Mauricio Pochettino thinks his team might look like come June, because he's already said that this September window was the last chance to look at new faces.
Anthony Robinson, as time goes on, I think this last year or so, I really hope he returns to the form that he was in during the season last year. But he went from a nice player and a nice piece to probably one of the men's national team most important players, and has really made a name for himself in the Premier League at the highest of heights. And surprisingly enough, probably one of the boons for your Fulham side is keeping him, because he's become a real asset of a fullback for that. So Anthony Robinson more likely to be in the lineup than Brendan Aronson tomorrow, but that is a matchup to look out.
And
this, an American perspective.
I saw it already from our man Nate, who is an MK Ultra. Be like Nate, become an MK Ultra. Get your comments on screen. He's saying we want to see Gio play. Borussia Mönchengladbach against Werder Bremen tomorrow. Sunday, actually, that match. Sunday, 9:30 a.m. East. That'll be Mountain Time. It's probably adjusted for me. So that's probably a 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time kickoff. I'm not sure about that. Somebody help me out with my time travel. So Gio, though, right, Rob? This is like the moment. If this is the right move, and if he's going to start down the path that leads to a World Cup roster, he's got to play games. Is there trust? He didn't play last week. They said his fitness wasn't up. He wasn't even in the squad last week. Will he make the squad this week as a toe in the water for Borussia Mönchengladbach?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him as a late game sub at best. I mean, soccer form, these guys are obviously professional athletes, and Gio, I'm sure, keeps himself in top shape, but there's just a whole nother level of match fitness that only playing matches will get you, and that'll take a little while. So if he is doing all the right things, gets in the coach's good graces and all that stuff, I wouldn't be surprised to see his full start or debut be a couple weeks out.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Again, but we're impatient. Certainly with a guy like Gio, who really needs some game time underneath his belt. Now, remember, he's playing with Joe Scally now. They're good friends. Scally, a U.S. international, although seemed to be on the outs with Pochettino as well. I think the rumors around the internet are he did some donuts in a golf cart. Did you know about this?
I did not. Tell me about donuts in a golf
Apparently,
cart.
donuts in a golf cart, and that upset Mauricio Pochettino, and he didn't think it was professional, and that's why Joe Scally's not getting called up by the U.S. men's national team. That's the rumor. Do you guys believe that? Do you guys believe the golf cart rumor? Is that confirmed? Do we have second sourcing on that, or is it just one guy over on Elon Musk's platform saying these things?
Does it video or it doesn't happen apply here? I know some people call it out. If it is not on video, it didn't happen. But I didn't hear about that. How deep in the internet did this rumor come? Is this?
It popped up on X from one of the regular U.S. men's national team posters. And when I say poster, I mean the kind of person who is always screaming about something with the U.S. men's national team, whatever that is.
Yeah, should we categorize national team posters? Like there's the screamers, the apathetics, the
I don't know what you would call exactly. So Spider is saying he heard it on Scuffed. I don't know if they've got separate sources. Spider, obviously Scuff knows their shit, so I'm not going to say necessarily that they're wrong. I appreciate what Adam and those guys do, so could be legit.
Doing anything in a golf cart doesn't do, like a work assignment doesn't do you well. I remember back in my classic rock and roll radio station days after college, there was a golf radio station event that beverages were had by folks and driving skills went down.
Of course,
there was some punishments given out after that. That was a time. So don't crash or throw people off of golf carts or donuts in golf carts.
Yeah, if
you're on a work assignment.
Yeah, please do not do that. So we've got Bournemouth and Brighton, which means Tyler Adams potentially playing a meaningful soccer match there for Bournemouth in the Premier League. Chris Richards and Palace against Sunderland, which is an opportunity for Palace to get some points. I mean, Sunderland hasn't started poorly in the Premier League after returning to the top division, but it's not a team that you would think Crystal Palace shouldn't be able to handle on their best day at Selhurst Park. And obviously, this is not American soccer related necessarily, unless you just consider Rob and our fandom of the Premier League American soccer. Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, and we don't have any dogs in that fight, but Ange Postecoglou is stepping back onto the sideline in the Premier League and taking over at Nottingham Forest. So that should be fascinating. I wish there was an American in that game just so I could say I have to watch that game.
Yeah, no doubt. Which American would we want under Ange Postecoglou and his kind of run and gun style? But Nottingham Forest becoming like one of the would you say one of the bad guys of the Premier League with how it all played out? I guess the owner Marinakis is making himself. I don't know about the club, but he's making himself kind of a villain.
If you want an American soccer angle on on Nottingham Forest and Arsenal, then the argument would be that Marinakis, obviously a Greek owner, has a connection, some shared interest with John Textor, the American businessman who has gone into multi-club ownership with Eagle Football Holdings and has Botafogo, had a major piece of Crystal Palace, which he has sold now, has Lyon, is looking at Sheffield Wednesday per reports, and has done some business. Botafogo players landing at Nottingham Forest. And I did an interview with a journalist out of Brazil just last week, or maybe it was earlier this week. We talked for an hour about John Textor, multi-club ownership, and the connections there. And, it is a tangled web that those gentlemen have woven. Shout out to Gary, by the way. Brand new member on the channel. Shout out to Gary.
Thanks, Gary. And that is a more tangled web when you think about Marinakis, slipped into the ear of UEFA about the multi-club ownership, which debunked.
Well, that's the rumor, but is that true? Nobody really knows. Some people see conspiracy in the fact that Textor and Marinakis are doing business after Textor had been at Palace, and maybe there's some maybe there's something to it being related to the European deal. I don't know that that's the case. I think John Textor is just an opportunistic businessman who wants to find ways to, to squeeze money out of the game. That's what he wants. He may like winning, but he likes winning the way that most big-time billionaire businessmen like winning, which is just to have more money in their pocket at the end of the day. And if Botafogo winning a championship in Brazil does that, that's great. If it means, buying Sheffield Wednesday, buying Nottingham, or buying Crystal Palace, buying Lyon, and doing things that are not what I would call on the up and up entirely when it comes to club ownership, and certainly not in the spirit of our connections to our teams, he'll do those things.
Those and many more Americans in action. Go to Soccer by Ives. That website does a really good job with the Americans Abroad preview. And
Soccer by Ives is the place to go for that. Yes, absolutely.
All right, long ball number 3, as we're wont to do on Fridays, it's Fab Four, the top 4 games of the weekend in the North American soccer calendar. And I hope you don't mind too much, but I will lead the way. Number 1 in our Fab Four, New Mexico United hosting Tulsa Athletic for Meow Wolf Night. It's a first versus third in USL's Western Conference, and it should be a good one. Obviously, Tulsa coming in first place. New Mexico United coming in with back-to-back victories, including a 4-0 drubbing of La Rouge of Detroit City FC. Maybe that half-field goal will get the crowd even more energized than I'm sure it already will be. 10,000 plus expected at Isotopes Park tomorrow night.
It's going to be a vibe. It's going to be great. Obviously, a very important soccer match for both teams in terms of their standing. Tulsa in first, trying to hold on to that spot in the USL Championship Western Conference. New Mexico with those 2 wins, 6 points in the last 4 or 5 days, whatever that is, putting them in third. That's how tight it is, right, in the Western Conference of the USL Championship. Just a couple of victories can take you from 6th or 7th or 8th or wherever New Mexico was all the way up to third. So Tulsa on 43 points, Sacramento Republic on 37, New Mexico on 33. That's 1, 2, 3 in the West. And then El Paso a point back of New Mexico. So, win the game against Tulsa. Not only do you take points off of the first place team, you give yourself a little bit more breathing room, or you keep yourself potentially ahead of El Paso, depending on what result they get this weekend. You got Lexington, Colorado Springs, Phoenix, San Antonio, all within 3 points of New Mexico United. So again, these games are massively important, and we get the scene, and we get Meow Wolf Night, and we get all that stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. It's going to be great. Plenty of color and vibrancy, and hopefully some goals for the fans that come on out.
Yeah, if you guys have not seen images from past Meow Wolf Nights, check that out. I think we've shared some here on the channel in recent days as we got ready for this trip. You're going to see a lot more. Obviously, we're going to try to bring you everything we can live here from Albuquerque from tomorrow's match. And just as a reminder, Rob, we're on the air at
5:30 local, so that'll be 7:30 Eastern
time. Yeah.
So we will have guests. Like I said, it's going to be a college game day for lower league soccer is the show that we're going for. So hopefully it'll be Jason Davis and I at the third base entry of Isotopes Park.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be going live as the tailgate and the carnival concludes The carnival will be making its way inside, and hopefully we will just have a flood of colorful characters behind us, walking past us, and hopefully joining us on the show.
We already lined up a couple of very good guests, so stay tuned for that. All right, my turn. Is it my turn?
1 minute before you go, the fourth pick of the Fab Four, it's the chat pick. So anyone who has a game that they are going to go to or they think we should single out for the Fab Four, get it in the chat. Go ahead, Jason. Number two.
Okay, that's actually a very good shout. I think I already saw one or two people maybe getting in with some thoughts on what they think one of the Fab Four games is of the weekend. But I'm going to go to Major League Soccer, and I'm going to take Chicago and New York City FC.
Ooh,
these teams
where are they?
Right next to each other in the MLS standings. Obviously, things are coming down to the wire in Major League Soccer, and we're talking about a win, a draw being massive into making the playoffs. And this is it. The Chicago, obviously under new leadership with Greg Berhalter, remaking this team in his image, trying to take a step forward. They want to make the playoffs this year. Like if they don't, it's a failure. Now I know they haven't made the playoffs in a very long time, but that's also why it's so important for them to make the playoffs. So you've got NYCFC on 44 points, and you've got NYCFC on 44 points, Chicago on 42. As they go up against each other at Soldier Field, NYCFC trying to improve their play so they can get out of the play-in game. Because right now, think about this. You've got to play that playoff game to be the 8th team in the playoffs. It's what Atlanta United did last year to get them into position to knock out Inter Miami. Now, obviously, it's going to be really tough to win a championship from that position, but at least you give yourself a chance. If you can avoid the play-in game, especially if you can avoid being on the road team during the play-in game, that absolutely is essential. So Chicago, New York City FC, I think that's a massive game in Major League Soccer this weekend that you should keep an eye on.
Just another peek around MLS before we move on to Jenny's pick is Inter Miami. They're playing without their suspended players,
yes.
So something to just keep the eye on there. Jenny not available to come on screen with us today, but she selected from the USL Rhode Island versus Indy on Saturday night. Some counter programming to us. Come on, Jenny. What you doing?
Yeah, what are you doing there, Jenny? No, of course that's an important game in the championship. That's a game in the Eastern Conference that has playoff implications, which is why I know Jenny picked it. Again, very much like NYCFC and Chicago in Major League Soccer. It's got that these are two teams bubbling right there, trying to figure out if they're going to be in the playoffs, trying to get the points necessary to make the postseason top 8 get in. So Indy 11's on 26 points. Rhode Island's on 24. We've talked a little bit about Rhode Island. They have that nice little stadium there. They've decided to lean into, some of those New England elements. We've talked about Alclamico and some of the things that are popping a little bit in.
Your soul shudders when you say Clamico.
I'm not shuddering. I'm just uncomfortable. It's a general low level discomfort with the whole El Clamico thing. So yeah.
But I like all these Northeastern teams, like all, dotting the map, so to speak, and clustered in the Northeast, more and more games between local teams there in the Northeast.
So I'm looking at the chat now that we're down to that. The fourth pick. Now I see that our man, Nicholas Murray, works for the USL. Keep that in mind. He's going to be very much boostering his company and his league's games, and rightfully so. So he's got Riverhounds in Louisville City. Obviously, Louisville City always good in the USL Championship. They are the dynasty. They are the powerhouse. They're what everybody wants to be in the USL Championship.
Have you ever been to their stadium?
I have not gotten to Louisville. I've never been to Louisville. It'd be nice.
Our list of places to visit is growing.
Wouldn't that be great to do one of these events, one of these shows live from Louisville, Kentucky, and get a chance to see what it's like at Lynn Family Stadium? Yeah,
Louisville, reach out. Do you guys have like a bourbon Meow Wolf night or something?
Some sort of connection to the local whiskey industry. They got horses too. Horses, bourbon. Let's
drunk horses though.
No, don't give the horses the bourbon. All right. Nicholas also has League One, Ford Madison, Richmond Kickers. That's the Henny Derby. And shout out to our guys in Richmond and in Madison. And, we had Yogi on the show way back in the day. I know it's only been a year. Ago? It's only been a year. But Yogi was on the show to talk about Richmond and get to know your district and give us a lot of insight into Richmond's culture and things like that. And they do have the Henny Derby, the Hennessy Derby between Richmond and Ford Madison, a very fun time. And then Super League, Women's Super League, Fort Lauderdale and Dallas Trinity, early top 2, both undefeated. Again, remember, they run on the European style calendar for the USL Super League. So they just got started. And that's why he's saying early going. So there you go.
Yeah, definitely the early goings there. So what are we going to pick out of all those suggestions?
Also Andy, who's not a member. Andy, you gotta get your membership, Andy. I don't know what's going on with you. You're always in the chat, and I would love to throw up your suggestions, but sometimes I'm like, I know Nicholas isn't either, but we make a special exception for Nicholas because he's a member of the soccer community from a professional perspective. Andy says Club America and Chivas, the El Clásico de Mexico, is the top game of the weekend. Now, that's not American soccer exactly, although there is an American player at Club America, a U.S. international, I mean.
Yeah, there's definitely interest there, and there's plenty of North Americans.
I forgot about Cade Cowell as well on the other side for Chivas. So, yeah, there's an opportunity to see some Americans play in that game. And I believe, and maybe Andy can correct me on this, I believe that game is on Golazo on CBS and perhaps being broadcast in English. That may be one of the games that CBS has taken over. They've taken over some of the rights of Mexican club football, and they've got some. So Chris Whittingham, I think, is involved, and Nico Cantor is involved in doing some games broadcasted in English. So, yeah. Did we say North American? Andy says we said North American. I don't know.
Sure, fair enough. I mean,
we mentioned it, Andy. We're throwing it in there. Like we didn't say no, right? We're there. You go. Yes, it's on Golazo, and it's in English. So there's that. Okay, Fab Four, done and dusted.
Done and dusted. Thank you for all your suggestions. Thanks for tuning into Longballs. The first half of our show is through. So if you've enjoyed it, hit subscribe if you haven't. Give us a super thanks. Those are always appreciated. Real quick, easy click of the button. And you can also, for $3.99 a month, become a member. We got a new member just today. Gary, thank you so much for becoming an MK Ultra and supporting this show as we try to become further entrenched in becoming the town square for the American soccer conversation. I feel like we're living that being here on location here.
That's right. Yeah. We're taking steps there.
And so as we are halfway through the show, we're going to move on to our next segment, American Soccer Being Weird, here on Morning Kickaround. American soccer is being weird, as it always is. My name is Robert Kerr. He's Jason Davis. And together, this is Morning Kickaround. And one of the things that's a little peculiar about American soccer is there's always new teams being established, created, and ideated. And we've got another one, as some folks like to review badges, and I think we are along there.
Yeah.
There's an interesting one, a new USL 2 team, kind of in your style.
We're saying American soccer is not at all. I'll explain why.
Okay, fair enough.
The American soccer is weird. Although, and I was writing this for my newsletter, which I did not get up because I had travel issues. I don't know if you heard. I had travel issues. I get my newsletter up, but I started writing this. Like, American soccer is weird, and we should lean into the weird was my premise. And then I sort of got into that semantic discussion of, like, there's no right way to do soccer. I really believe that. There's no right way to do a soccer culture. You look around the world, and it's different in every place. And I don't want to get into this thing of like, well, this is how you're supposed to do it. That's nonsense. There's no proper way to do soccer. It is whatever that culture develops is justifiable and legitimate, right? So if you say American soccer is weird, you're kind of saying, well, if it's weird, then we accept that there's a standard. And I don't know that I buy that. So I'm saying yes, but I'm also saying it with a little bit of a I'm kind of saying that I'm not sure, like a little bit of an objection to the idea of American soccer being weird. But we're also fans of just all this stuff that American soccer throws at us.
Before you throw up that badge,
yes.
So the meat and potatoes of this segment is a brand new USL team in Lynchburg, Virginia.
That's right. USL League 2, by the way.
USL League 2. So a semi-pro team starting next summer, in summer 2026. And I think let's introduce this. There was 6 different names, and then I will get to the one that was selected. So So the Lynchburg, Virginia, Lynchburg,
What?
Virginia's club,
Uh-huh.
another Michael Hitchcock
Another
creation.
yeah,
we should know.
another hitch joint is what they say in the business.
So Lynchburg, Virginia, they were choosing from Lynchburg Adam, the Seven Hills Bootleggers, Hill City FC,
Yeah.
the Lynchburg River Otters FC, Lynchburg Rivermen FC, or Seven Hills FC. And there's 6 badges and explainers to go along with it, with a variety of, I'd say, a fleshed out design. All of them pretty cool, but I think that they might have gone with the right one out of those 6.
Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna put on screen the Hill City brand that
The winner.
the winner, the one they ultimately went with. But I'm also going to, for purposes, because Rob is bringing this to the table, for purposes of showing you what was there. This is the page that has all of the options that they were considering. So there you see it: Lynchburg Adam, Seven Hills Bootleggers, which I really like bootleggers as an idea.
Grab your jugs.
Yeah. There's Hill City. There's River Otters. That is a mean looking otter. It doesn't involve a soccer ball, because there was a long history of American soccer teams having badges where there was an animal with a soccer ball.
Like the otter, like
holding the ball. Why isn't the otter holding the ball? Rivermen and Seven Hills. Okay, I guess there are 7 hills in Richmond. That seems very Roman of them to have 7 hills, but there you go.
Lynchburg Adam, right out. The first one, I think that's the weakest one out of the 6.
Okay.
The Adam.
Okay. You're not on board with Adam.
No, because there's some good designs here.
Now, you can see in the bootlegger, I took it off the screen, but in the bootleggers one, you can see that that's the actual outline of Virginia in the upper part, in the bottle. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Says, yeah, that's so they were going with some references there. I'm sure you can't read the copy, but I'm sure it says like why each part. Now, again, they decided to go with Hill City ultimately. And this is it. This is the brand that they went with. Now, I'm not going to judge the people of Lynchburg for choosing this one. If this is what they voted for, it's their team, it's their identity. They can choose what they want to choose.
Yeah, 2 months and 1,500 votes according to the Hill City website.
Those hills look like dinner rolls to me. They look like, I'm not sure exactly what they look like. I don't know what they look like seed pods or like something that is not. I mean, I don't quite get the hills thing from this, Rob. Do you see the hills? Do you like the hills? Do you feel the hills?
Breads a little bit. They're tame hills. They are not.
They're not intense.
They're not mountains. They're not mean hill. Far tamer than that otter from that other design. But I really like the font. I like the colors. But as far as the hills, might be that pocket bread you get from Middle Eastern restaurant.
Yeah. It is that pita bread. Is that what you're saying?
That's the one.
Okay.
That's 4 hours of sleep. 4 hours of sleep.
Rob can't remember words right now. So there's that. I don't mind the color scheme. I would like to see how this plays out via kits and that kind of thing. Like until I see that, I don't know. I think that dusk color is interesting. Is that what dusk is? It's almost like a purplish dark, like very dark purple, right? Is that what that is?
Yeah, sunsets can get purplish in the most extreme of times, but I wouldn't have been like purple dusk. I wouldn't nail it there, but I do like the
are these words. Hold on. Are these actual names? Did they named these colors, right?
So?
They're not. This is not like what everybody calls these colors. Like if you went down to Home Depot, you could probably find these colors in the paint section. Like, oh look, I'd like some dusk and some sunrise and some twilight. What's the alternative to twilight and the other brands, like that kind of thing? Gonna match your swatch or whatever. Is it swatch?
Oh yeah, swatch. That gives me nightmares because that was painting your new house when you move somewhere. That's the only time I've ever used the word swatch, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah. So Hill City again, not judging, not a Lynchburgian. Is that what they're called?
So it's a lot about the evening. So it's twilight, sunrise, and dusk. Very, very sun related.
So again, okay, I'm going to read from the copy on the options here. So this says, in a field of detailed badges, it helps to have a more simplistic choice. This traditionally shaped badge's clean lines, shapes, and arcs evoke both a modern and retro feel, marrying both the past and the future. And then it talks about the word. So you have the Hill City, and then that eye connecting the way they describe this, because it's always got to be like this.
Mm.
The eye of the hill connects with the eye and city, linking the past with the future.
Mm.
How you feeling about that, Rob, as an explanation for what this is?
Well, you can't truly move into the future unless you respect your past. So I guess that's sound reasoning and logic with their explanation.
It's a little overwrought. Like all of these are a little overwrought.
I mean, the gentleman from the Eugene, Oregon team, he admitted, like, we just did it because that's the thing you do. You just got to explain it.
Yeah. So they went with Hill City. There was that Seven Hills look as well.
I like that the what do you call that's not a diamond, but the rotated square. I like that. That's different. Not too many of those in American soccer.
The diamond. Yeah, I guess it's a diamond, and because it's equilateral, maybe it's not quite a diamond. But I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's not a lot of those. That does feel a little bit more like real estate company to me than it does soccer team. I'll say that. I do. So the Riverman thing is interesting because obviously there's going to be a river there. I want to come back to bootleggers because there you can see it, right?
That's
Seven Hills bootleggers, not Lynchburg bootleggers, Seven Hills bootleggers. Is it wrong to pay homage to a past of making illicit alcohol, Rob?
It's probably in the gray area, but it's kind of instilled in Americana. I mean, there's a whole like racing league. America's most popular racing league is based off of the heritage of bootlegging.
And they
put Jack Daniels and other alcohol brands on cars driving fast.
Well, that's
so I don't
true.
think this is off color.
That's true.
That's the norm.
Yeah, like you're saying NASCAR comes from bootleggers running moonshine. Yeah, I understand.
And that's the premise, and people they're not shy from that.
Well, that's a thing. I actually, I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to NASCAR anymore, but I know that they did celebrate that for a while, but I kind of thought they had moved on from that and were trying to not necessarily highlight the illegality of the origins of NASCAR racing in places like Virginia and North Carolina, where it truly did grow. But man, in terms of
Chad, I was gonna say, if they still have Bud Light NASCARs, let us know. I haven't watched it in so long that I don't know if they still put the alcohol.
That's
in the
secondary
cars.
to this conversation.
Fair.
Look, if you want me to give a rating to this, I think it's a 6
out of 10.
Yeah, I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's like, wow, what an incredible brand. I just don't. I don't think it's bad. I think, and obviously, if people voted on it in Lynchburg, then they have a sense of liking it. Enough people liked it to make it the brand that they decided to go with. And of course, it is worth talking about whether or not how important it is, and you know this from personal experience, how important it is to have good branding for a USL League 2 team.
Yeah, you got to be memorable. You only really exist on the field for 3 out of the 12 months of the calendar year, so you got to have a look, especially at that level, that people will remember and hang on to, and people be able to see it, 3 months after a game happened and understand what that brand is. And for a little bit more context on the selection of Hill City, apparently someone in the press release, former city councilman in Lynchburg, Virginia, Randy Nelson, attended the launch party for this brand, and he started an amateur club back in 1977 called Hill City Soccer. And so he said it did well, and he's very happy to see it come full circle. So a little bit of historical context. Plus, they'll be playing in City Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some context behind the Hill City. And obviously, you are more familiar with Lynchburg than I am. Are they surrounded by seven?
This is what I was going to tell you. So you were like, oh, this is in your neck of the woods. That is stretching the definition of neck of woods, because I live in Northern Virginia. I live just outside of DC. And while I try not to be this person, I was telling Rob, there's definitely a sense that Northern Virginia is a distinct place from the rest of Virginia. And you just don't get down. It's, again, if you know the shape of Virginia, it's kind of like a triangle. People don't get down to that corner unless you're going down to go to see Virginia Tech or Roanoke and Lynchburg are kind of down in that area, but it's just not. It's not an area I am ultimately familiar with. Even though my grandmother, is from a corner of that area called Narrows, Virginia.
Are you saying people from the east look down their noses at places from other areas?
I guess I am saying that, Rob. It's not, and this is the thing. Lynchburg is not all the way down in the corner. It's not in the holler. You know what the holler?
Tell me.
The holler is like that area that's kind of like Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, all those mountainous areas where it's very much like It's Dolly Parton's kind of a place, right?
Yeah,
and you go out there, Dollywood is out there and all that stuff. Lynchburg is not quite all the way there, but it is in that general region with Roanoke and Blacksburg and those kind of things.
Kind of seems like you're trying to remove themselves, but I understand. It's like I'm from Metro Detroit. I am by no means a Youper, so I get you.
Okay.
Even though,
yeah, and that Upper Peninsula, completely different world than the rest of Michigan, I would imagine, especially the Detroit Metro, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be elitist. I'm saying there are distinct parts of your state, and you may not. People that live in New York City and the environs of New York City, they're not always going all the way up north. You know, they're not. They might be going on out to Buffalo or to Finger Lakes and Syracuse and places like that, but they're not going anyway. That's all. Yeah.
All right, moving on from your Virginia expertise, Jason, and that should do it. So you gave a 6 out of 10.
Yes.
Because I like the colors and there's some the visuals are appealing to me. An easy one. I'll give it just slightly better. I'll give a 7.
Okay.
To Hill City's branding.
Okay. The Hill City gets a 7 from Rob. All right.
All right. So I think that done for our badge review. Leave a comment if you disagree, agree, or give your rating in the comments. Brand new USL 2 team going in Lynchburg, Virginia, Hill City SC. We're going to catch our breath and come right back with one more segment of the week. Coming right back with a brand new segment, Soccer Under Construction, here on Morning Kickaround. U.S. soccer under construction here on Morning Kickaround. We're in kind of a foundational age of the expansion in USL lower leagues and even Major League Soccer. Construction projects, brand launches. Feel like we get news and press releases almost every day about some sort of development with an ownership group, a stadium situation, or otherwise. We will talk with the owner of New Mexico United, maybe pop in a question about their stadium situation here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we got kind of a grab bag. We got a number of things to touch on as far as updates, as far as new teams and stadiums. Probably leading the way is Detroit City FC. Stories coming out that they are seeking $88 million towards their brand new soccer-specific stadium in the city of Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, this is par for the course. Like, we shouldn't act like any of this is surprising. Now, it kind of does feel a little off when you see a story that says Detroit City is seeking $88 million in development incentives for Detroit Soccer Stadium, when they've also been talking about how this is a privately funded stadium.
Yeah.
Rob. Like, this is, there's no public money going into this stadium. And this is that technicality versus sort of the real world elements of it. Is it privately funded? Yeah, they're not taking any private money to do the construction.
That's funny.
Does it mean that they're not also getting some tax breaks from the city, or there's something going on that makes it a little bit more attractive for them to put money, or for private interests who want to fund the stadium construction to build the stadium? No, of course not. Right. And so you just have to find this place. I mean, what is $88 million? Sounds like a lot of money, Rob. Is that a lot of money for Detroit to be helping Detroit City with in the incentive? Again, it's not like they're handing Detroit City money. They're not writing a check for $80 million. But what they might say is, okay, well, we won't charge you taxes on this part of the construction, or this, we won't charge you the typical fees that come with building something like this, because it benefits the city to have Detroit City build this stadium for jobs and for the culture of it, for the civic pride. And it obviously benefits Detroit City to have a stadium to play soccer in.
Yeah, it's definitely par for the course, like you said. Not directly getting the money, but incentives is one thing. But it's that conversation of like, well, everyone else is doing it. I mean, huge companies with far more money than Detroit City FC get incentives like this for building new buildings or bringing their headquarters into cities and stuff like that. So to say that a growing grassroots soccer team can't go through those same avenues to find some funding for a large undertaking seems it would almost be malpractice on their part to not do that.
Right. Yes, exactly. So are you
I don't want it going out of Detroiters' hands directly into someone's pockets, but I mean, there's already tax incentives for so many other more wealthy companies. You can't tisk Detroit.
Well, but that's the thing. So again, are you? This is a little bit hate the player, not the game.
Yeah, no doubt.
It is hate the player, not the game. Or
Hate the game, not
hate
the
the game, not the player.
There you
Don't
go.
hate the player, hate the. I messed it up. I haven't slept as well either. No, it's not true. I slept a lot. Don't hate the player, hate the game, because Detroit City is only doing what anybody in their position would do. So didn't you have an issue with some of these subsidies that they are looking to get from the city of Detroit when maybe the city of Detroit has to make choices over where the money goes, how the budget looks, what line item is fixed to do what thing, right? People who don't like stuff like this will immediately go to places like, well, if you're taking money from the schools to give it to the soccer team, we don't like that. But is it really truly directly that thing that is happening in a situation like this?
I mean, colloquially, you could say that. I mean, I guess you could spin that any which way, but when there's so many buckets of funds, you can't necessarily say yoink, that's taken out of the kids. And sure, I would love $88 million in tax incentives to go to Detroit public schools. But
that's the thing. Like that's probably not how Detroit public schools works. They don't need incentives. They need actual money to pay for things in Detroit.
Yeah.
So if there's no money changing hands, if it simply is over the course of 15 or 20 years or whatever these incentives and subsidies look like, that Detroit City isn't paying what normally a company in their position would pay in terms of tax or property taxes and all these other kinds of things, right? Basically greasing the skids for them to be able to build this stadium, get it opened. Obviously, like I said, employ people, bring excitement to that part of Detroit, redevelop a site we know that is an abandoned hospital that is otherwise sitting there decrepit, and apparently attracting people who want to go explore it and then get killed because they're doing stupid things, then that benefits everybody. But again, without knowing the individual line item details on this, it's really hard to go, this is a good thing or a bad thing.
This comes to light courtesy of Detroit Free Press. Last night on September 11th, the details of the club's public subsidies were unveiled at a public meeting. The Neighborhood Advisory Council working towards community benefits package for the project. The total cost of the development speculated to be $198 million, not 200, $198 million, including a centerpiece, $153 million for the 15,000 seater stadium. So not, so my maths aren't great, but that's like what, 40% they're looking in tax credits?
I mean, again, how that translates, whether it is dollar for dollar, or whether that's going to bring down the ultimate cost of the stadium from 198 to 110, I don't know. Like that's not, again, is that sort of how any of this works is a good question. This is probably a better situation though, in terms of what Detroit City is getting in terms of subsidies or tax breaks, than a city actually, granting a team a $1 lease on land that would otherwise go for millions upon millions of dollars, which happens quite often, right? That's the thing. Again, lots of cities make a choice. We want this sports team here. We got a billionaire owner who could fund this himself, right? Could go out and get the money to build the stadium himself or herself. And instead, what ends up happening is the billionaire threatens to move the club, and then the city rolls over and goes, okay, we'll give you this, and we'll give you that, and we'll give you this other thing. And again, whether or not at the end of the day, that land or those subsidies could have been given in different ways, could have been distributed in different ways, sold, helped the city in different ways, is really tough to know in some cases. Because a lot of times what you have are sports team owners who want to build a stadium who are willing to go into areas of a city that would not otherwise have interest in terms of development. And that may be the case here with Detroit City FC. I mean, you're much more aware of what's going on with this than I am, but right there, Mexican Town, Corktown, the abandoned hospital, what that means in terms of the danger it poses to the community, the potential, again, remediation and things that have got to go into this project, who knows?
obviously the neighborhood has probably plenty of concerns, or at least things to bring up with the club and the city for a new stadium. But you think the counter argument of this is a collapsing, decrepit old building, that the contrary to that of having a new vibrant stadium seems like a no brainer, but not a neighbor there. But so if everything goes to plan, exciting stuff for Detroit.
Yeah.
Interesting to see 88 million worth of tax breaks is soft.
What else we got?
Moving down to Florida, hot off the presses, we got a press release from Sporting Jacks down in Florida. You've heard these names before: John Elway, Tim Tebow, Blake Bortles, and Chick-fil-A CEO Andrew Cathy have launched Momentous Sports, and their first major project is the takeover of Sporting Jacks, or expanded ownership of Sporting Jacks, and a stadium and real estate endeavor.
Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, I'll admit my ears perk up at the mention of John Elway. May have been my first sports hero. I don't need to get into that. Not talking about him as a post-career person, just in terms of his on-the-field exploits for the Denver Broncos, who I very much adore. The best moment of my life before marriage and kids was the Broncos finally winning a Super Bowl when I was 18 years old, beating the Green Bay Packers, of course, which I'm sure you're fine with.
Yeah, I liked Elway and the gang.
All right. So we have a couple of things that work here, right? So, and Tebow, who has been attached to this project for a while, this is not new. I guess this is like reorganizing the ownership that Tebow. I don't know about Blake Bortles. That may be a new addition. I believe there's somebody else, another sports name attached to Jacksonville.
It was Fred Jackson.
Fred Jackson. Okay. So you've got a big name, great athlete, all-time great athlete, an athlete who's famous for not necessarily for what he did in the NFL, but certainly has a name in Team Tebow.
Yeah.
Organizing a new group. How much money are they putting into this project would be of interest to me. Fred Taylor, not Fred Jackson. I thought you got that wrong. Fred Taylor was the player.
There you go.
You know what this means. Like, is this just kind of window dressing on the club? Does it just bring a little bit of extra attention for them to say, hey, John Elway's involved? And people who might not know a lot about soccer or a kind of soccer adjacent in Jacksonville and the surrounding area go, oh, John Elway, I know who that is. That's a football player. I know that guy. So is this going to bring anything significantly beneficial to Jacksonville? Does it boost their spending power, for example? Does it make them a higher level operation? I don't know any of that, at least not yet.
I think it depends on how big this real estate company that John Elway is a part of has to say. He's got because John Elway is founding, or this group is founded through a real estate firm called Four Stones. But the quote from John Elway is, owning a team is great. Owning the land under it, even better. Momentous has a real strategy that combines both, and that's what drew me in. I've been around a lot of teams, buildings, and sales deals. Momentous is not just another sports investment platform. It's built by competitors for competitors. And the first, and then this is just the copy, first major project underway for Momentous. Lead investor in Sporting Jacks, the new professional club in Jacksonville with both men's and women's. And they just recently merged with Florida's Elite Youth Academy, creating a vertically integrated system that now supports more than 12,000 youth players across northern Florida.
So this is where the cynic in me really starts to bubble up, because I want this to be all on the up and up, all about supporting the game, all about the good things that can come out of soccer, all about feeding Jacksonville, giving Jacksonville a proper soccer club that they can rally around. And maybe that's part of it. And I guess a thing can be two things. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But this is also very much in line with a lot of people now, modern 2025 world, looking at soccer. And I already mentioned Don Texter. Obviously, it's a different lane that he's chosen. But looking at the sport of soccer and thinking there's a lot of money to be made here. How can we make money? I don't know how much John Elway cares about soccer. Maybe that doesn't matter in this case. I don't know how much Tim Tebow cares about soccer. Maybe that doesn't matter in this case. I don't know, but I do think it's okay for soccer fans to hesitate a bit or at least look at this with a little bit of a jaundiced eye, Rob, and say, you're going to have to prove this to me, that what you're doing isn't just about making you money, that this is actually going to like, I'm not going to end up supporting a club and my dollars are just going into supporting Jacksonville because this is going to benefit Tim Tebow and John Elway and Momentous Sports or whatever that is.
And so your skeptical eye, let's see if this sounds like an outfit that's in it to make some money. The Four Stones Real Estate is a private investment office of Andrew Cathy, CEO of Chick-fil-A, with a focus on long-term partnerships, value-driven, blah, blah, blah. The firm supports high-impact real estate across hospitality, mixed use, and community infrastructure.
So
that seems
we got that link. We got that link between the real estate and the soccer, which always makes us a little uncomfortable. Now, I also have to acknowledge, and I've said this many, many times, without that entry point of real estate investment, we might not have the soccer teams we have. A lot of those teams might not exist, and certainly there wouldn't be stadiums either under construction or already built or being conceived, because without that element of incentivizing people with investment dollars to get involved with the game because the sport of soccer itself is not going to generate the money. Like, that's not an investment vehicle. That is a passion project. If you're buying a soccer team, and maybe it's a little bit different in America than it's been in Europe, but if you're buying a soccer team, you're going to lose money. You're going to lose money unless there's something else that goes with the soccer team which helps defray some of those losses or even potentially helps you make money, which, again, the problem I think we have as soccer fans is, and sports fans is, do these people care at all about the club that I'm supposed to give my emotional care to? Like, I'm supposed to care about this team. I'm supposed to support them. I'm supposed to buy tickets. I'm supposed to go out and buy the gear. I'm supposed to show up. I'm supposed to cheer and cry when they lose and all those things. Do you care the same way I do?
Yeah, but are we holding it to too high of a level if we do that? Because, at the biggest levels of all the teams across all the other sports, do any of those owners care?
That's the problem. Like, do you have to make peace with the fact that your soccer club is just going to be a different kind of thing than maybe sports teams were generations ago, or maybe the way that they are thought of in various places? Obviously, Europe is going through a very difficult time in a lot of places where fans are realizing my club has become something different than just my community outlet in this sport I care so much about.
And here we go. Here's a comment from Almaty. He's from Jacksonville. His mom called him about the team because she heard it's Tebow's team, knowing nothing about soccer. So that connection of having a famous name and a real estate ploy definitely seems to be the kind of a template, if you will, for this modern soccer expansion.
Right. So again, if you do, this is the bargain. Like, I don't know if I like the way this is going down. I don't know if I like the angle at which this investment is coming, or who's involved and why they might be involved, because it doesn't seem to be sort of organically tied to a passion for the game. But if that didn't exist, maybe there's no club. And if there's no club, you have nothing to support at all. Or you have to make a choice about being a dislocated fan, which is kind of the world we live in now as part of this.
And lots of things have to all come together. There needs to be a lot of synergy between community, real estate, celebrities.
There's a question and I'm just posing it as a question. Okay, maybe we talk about this.
Questions, folks.
There's a question as to whether or not this growth is a bubble. Right? There's I think it's a reasonable thing to ask as we talk about the number of expansion teams coming, particularly to USL. Is there a bubble forming? And when that bubble bursts, who's left? Who's left standing? We've been dealing, and again, this is why we say, okay, you're taking a shot at Pro-Rel, totally fine. Considering that so many clubs have come and gone even without Pro-Rel, might as well give Pro-Rel a shot. Maybe that actually creates a structure through which teams can survive. Maybe that's a thing. We don't know because it's never been done in this country. Let's try it and see what happens. But again, like this explosion kind of comes with that little bit of fear on the back end of it.
Yeah, sure it does. And time will only tell. And then who were the fortunate ones? The ones that got in early and have their stadium already built when the bubble burst, or the ones who are like halfway building something and something goes awry. But we shall see. Time will tell. But exciting times nonetheless in the expansion of American club soccer. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, do so now. That number's ticking its way up. And thank you everyone who's already got on board. Thank you to our brand new member, Gary. Thanks so much for joining membership, becoming an MK Ultra. Love to get members on board. Helps us a ton. And then you get more of us, more of the show. You get private videos. You get early access to videos, bonus content, and access to the Morning Kickaround Discord server, which is going to be probably at its peak of activity this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff over there. Lots of people sharing their own soccer stories, sharing things that they're finding, talking about. We were just talking about this college player situation, former pro in England, I think.
Yeah, he was a Newcastle Academy player, and he's on Ohio State's roster, and some people are like, what the HE double hockey sticks.
This is something we probably should delve into. The influx of not just international players, but potentially players who have had some very high level experience landing in college soccer and changing the landscape of that world.
Yeah. So there could be, reasons or that's allowable. Maybe he didn't go full pro or this or that. Maybe there's a sitting out period, but still, like the domestic American, high school, college player facing stiffer and stiffer competition if we're going to be getting, Premier League Academy players hitting D1 soccer teams. But we'll delve more into that. And we've been getting some good messages across social media at Kickaround, across X, Instagram, and we should have been talking about this whole time. TikTok. I've been trying to hit up the TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok has been added. Rob is delving into that world, and we should be able to bring some more content to you through that platform. Yeah.
Is there a gray hair TikTokers or something?
Probably there's like an old guy TikTok thing for sure.
But the big day, so can't wait. We're going to the Meow Wolf kit release party tonight, and then the big one, the Morning Kickaround special edition, 5:30 local time, 7:30 Eastern time. We will be doing college game day style show from Isotopes Park in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just the start of a fantastic weekend ahead. Jason and I live in the flesh together. And until Saturday night, everybody, please enjoy your soccer. We'll see you then.